And welcome back. Glad you could join us here on this Friday night, week 2 of the regular season. It's the River City Classic here at Warren Central High School. It is Vicksburg and Warren Central. The last time the Gators beat Warren Central, 2011. So it's been a while since the Gators have come out victorious. Charles Edmond, TJ Mayfield, and we're joined by head coach Todd McDaniel. Coach, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. How about yourself?
How quickly were you able to get over that tough Germantown loss? Because that was a tough one. I mean, they only had 107 yards of total offense. Half of them was on a couple of plays early in the game. Right.
And the couple of plays early in the game were very questionable. But it was a long weekend for myself and my wife. We both take losses pretty hard, but you had to shrug it off and get back at it Sunday morning.
How does your team take these tough losses? Since you've been here, and there have been some tough losses, Natchez going back. This game, obviously, Warren Central last year was 7-6. Some tough losses, obviously, in your tenure here. How has your team taken these tough losses?
Well, it only makes us stronger. Go back to home Central. Last year, we lost the game 14-12, but we had 3 touchdowns called back. And this is just building up our character. We know it's adversity, so once we score and it gets called back, we got to score again, So we just got to make sure that we're just hitting on all cylinders, and we can't afford to make mistakes ourselves, because it's obvious that we're not going to get the long end of the stick when it's a tight football game. So we got to make sure that other X factors can't play a part in us winning the football game.
And obviously your team hung in there defensively. I mean, really playing lights out up front. I thought you were dominant. Had a lot of balls batted away at the line of scrimmage. Caleb Bryant with a big game. Dennis Battle actually led the team in tackles with 8. For all the talk of Caleb Bryant and the guys up front, Battle's the one that led the team in tackles. So let's start there. Talk about the job that he's done and just give us his story.
Well, Dennis Battle, he's a sophomore. That was his first game starting, and he's going to only get better. He's about 6'3", about 220 pounds. He can run like the wind, extremely smart and aggressive, So he's a young guy, and that was a great experience for him. So we were expecting more things out of him this tonight. So defense played tremendous. Defensive line, they actually dominated the entire game. The linebackers was running, making tackles. Secondary is extremely hard to throw on. You negate that 148-yard play, their offensive production cuts in half almost. So those guys played tremendous game, and then that's what we're expecting from them every single night. So they're a veteran group. They understand what offenses are trying to do to them. So by those guys playing that hard, and we expect the same thing tonight and for weeks to come. So I just can't wait to see those guys line up and play tonight.
The defense made a statement late in the game, coming up with a fumble recovery, putting yourself in position to perhaps win the game late. And they're ball hawks. They're all around the football, some hard hitting, and so that last defensive drive in which you got the ball towards the end there, the defense stepped up big there as well.
They really did. They They put us in position to win the football game, and we just didn't do the things necessary to win. We missed a few holes there, and they're trying to make plays that was not there, and just do what you're assigned to do. So those are some of the things that we harped on all week. We go 29 power sweep, trusted it's there. And on that first play, it was 1st and goal from the 5, and if Johnny just hits the seam, he goes in untouched. But it's hindsight is 20/20. You go back and look at film and say, hey, you missed a 5-foot seam, and you tried to bounce it outside for what reason, But we've harped on that all week, and then you throw us back in downs because we lost 5 yards. We came out the very next play. We ran a whip read to the end zone, and he is running wide open, fumbles the ball, it slips out of his hand as he's getting ready to deliver the ball. So it was just a tough night. Then we had another chance. We're on the 28. We get the ball back down to the 10, and we throw a fade to Tata, and 9 times out of 10, he comes down with it. We thought we had a great chance of bringing it down. It just wasn't our night.
Turnovers, and then the special teams. So let's start with the turnovers. You had 4 fumbles, lost a couple of them. they obviously hurt just ball protection, ball security. I'm sure you talked about that this week.
Right. We fumbled more times Friday night than we did all last year. So, and this is from a veteran group of guys, so it's about just locking in and getting focused on what you getting ready to do. One of them was a miscommunication between the center and the quarterback. He thought he heard the quarterback give the cadence and just start to play, and he wasn't looking. He was actually getting another signal from myself, so those are miscommunications. Another one where we ran a G off tackle and actually I thought Malik, that was a touchdown, but all of a sudden the ball squirts out, and nobody touched him, you know what I mean? So it's just being focused on what you got to do. Stop reading these headlines. Stop eating that rat poison.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, and for young kids, I mean, obviously, the great season we had last year and the hype and the build up, for this season, you tell them, you talk to them about, just kind of stay away from all that other stuff, that reading your own press clippings and all that stuff. But for young kids, that's kind of a tough deal. You just gotta stay on it.
Well, when you're starting the program, and we expecting big things this year, and Friday night was the beginning of our season. But we also know this is that they are kids, and sometimes our fathers and uncles and brothers would tell us certain things, and we wouldn't listen. We had to find out the hard way. Sometimes a good behind whooping is the remedy to solve a lot of issues. And Monday when we came out, we had a totally different focus. So being able to go through that adversity makes you better. Now, sometimes a good butt whooping will lock you all the way in.
And you're going to have that, obviously, as we're at the River City Classic coming up here from Warren Central High School. Glad you can join us. Play-by-play action coming up. All right, so Coach, let's do a little individual dive here. You look at Ronnie Alexander, 6 of 11 for 119 yards last Friday. Evaluate his performance, and what does he have to do to improve?
Well, we got to take more opportunities. We got kind of out of rhythm early on. We'll start on the 45, and we get a first down, get a 10 or 15 yard gain, and all of a sudden it's 1st and 20 from some type of penalty or something, And so that kind of threw me out of rhythm for some of the things that I wanted to do early on with running and our receivers, So now it's just time like survival mode. We need to get this first down, it's 1st and 20. So let's make sure that the things that we know works, So and the kids fought the entire time, but running, just giving them more opportunities and being able to have a successful down count helps in that, So we got 2 great receivers on the perimeter, and you can see flashes of it, So we just want to make sure that becomes a part of our game plan from this point forward. That we 30 to 40% of our game plan.
If you had told me that the first Gator touchdown of the season would be an 80-yard pass to Henderson, I would think it would be an 80-yard run with the wing T. But if you had told me it was an 80-yard pass, I never would have believed it. But that play was there, a good quick hitter, and a nice touchdown for the first score.
Absolutely. And, I would have, I don't prefer how we get on the scoreboard, but 80-yard runs are what we've been kind of accustomed to over the past 10, 15 years, So we definitely got to get those back. But also, I'm happy that we are able to have a quick strike for 80 yards from our air assault, So that's just, that's just the beginning of it, We had some other opportunities. We dropped the ball here or there. We dropped the bubble screen, that was for big gainers. Running actually put the ball most times in the right place, So, but we just got to hone in. We got to focus on what we need to do and stop listening to all these outside influences and get focused on the things that made us successful last year. And that's going in the weight room, working, that's watching film and studying our opponents and getting out there and not turning the football over and playing solid defense.
Malik Montgomery, coach, had 89 yards on 13 carries. So with the running game doing what it does, Malik looked like he was in mid-season form.
Well, yeah, he actually ran the ball extremely hard, but he also fumbled twice. So we kind of he probably should have had 160, So, but still neither here nor there. The young man came back Monday. He understands what he needs to do, and and I tell him all the time, if you do exactly how we ask you to do it, you're going to be successful. If you do it your way, then you're going to be wrong, and sometimes you have to find that out for yourself, cover the ball at all 4 points, there's nothing cute, about turning the ball over or, just stop listening to the person when you go into Walmart, oh, how good you are, it's about the hard work that we put in that doesn't make us good, and it's okay to accept that, but still in all though, you know what you have to do to continue that.
Speaking of hard work, special teams and crafting that and making that right is a lot of hard work. And even though the defense stepped up and got off the field, that punt block that set them up at the 1 yard line, what is some of the things to do to clean that up?
Well, just the only thing about, you can't relax on it. They didn't rush. They sent one guy. They didn't think they were going to rush, so, but that's your job is to protect regardless of what you think they're going to do, Man, as far as assignments, he didn't actually think the guy was going to come off the way he did, but that's your job to expect that, And as far as the scheme and things, you just got to do your job, and that was the block, make your block and cover, So, and that's the cleanup. Do your job, If you told me a million years one guy could rush and block our punt, I'll be upset with you. It just wouldn't sound right, but it happened.
Yeah.
So don't relax. Do your job.
When you look at the game overall, as we put the finishing touches on it, you had the turnovers, you had the punt block, you had the penalties, and despite all that, you had a chance in the final 30 seconds to win the game.
Well, this just goes back to how hard the kids have worked and believing in what they're supposed to be doing and never quitting. 3 years ago, they would have quit at the end of the first quarter, So they fought to the end, and that's a great thing. But we want to come out with the W. We should have won that game on Friday night, and I told them after the game that's my fault. I got big shoulders, I can carry it. But this is the thing is that do what we ask you to do, get focused, and do the things necessary for us to win the football game.
Well, I tell you what, playing Warren Central gets your focus and attention. But a lot of talk on social media, a lot of talking back and forth, a lot of hype, a lot of build up for this game. So let's look at this River City Classic here at Warren Central. We saw Warren Central last week beating Forest Hill 48-6. So you look at Jack Wright, the quarterback, you look at Trey. On social media, they call him Uno Hall or whatever his name is, but right. He's electric. He can make some plays. So you've seen Warren Central. You see what Coach Morgan teams are all about, defensive minded. They got some offense, some punch. What did you see from Warren Central last week?
Well, they're a solid football team, well coached as usual. They're aggressive on defense, but so are we. We're well coached also, So for us going out there, we just need to follow our game plan and do the things necessary, like I said, to win the small things. And the small things become big things and big plays. And we just have to do what we do, So they're not going to out-coach us. They're not going to outplay us, So we just got to go out there and make sure the X factors don't come into play and not turn the football over and play solid defense.
The game last year, 7-6. I wasn't there, but I was getting all the play-by-play information as it was going along. How long did that game stay in your gut? And the players talking about it, I'm sure they talked about that game all year and still talking about it in some sense, even this summer and even going into camp. That game still stuck in the gut of a lot of people.
Well, yeah, it did. But here or there, those X factors came into play. And those are things that we can't do anything about. But what we have to do is, instead of it being 7-6, we have to go out there and make it 21-6 or whatever the case may be, 21-7. So those X factors can't come into play and bite you in the butt at the end of the football game.
The penalties, let's go back to that, because I remember the first play of the game, positive play and then penalties. As good as the wing tee is, and as productive as it is, it makes it so much difficult when you're behind the chains, when it's 1st and 20, when it's 1st and 15. You get some of those yards back, but it's tough to plow ahead when you're constantly behind the chains.
Well, Charles, I'm going to say this, Charles. Reviewing video and reviewing film, and I don't want to get in trouble while saying this, but I will say this, is that it was ironic that we are first and goal from the 9-yard line. All of a sudden, we are first and 35. First and goal from the 35.
Yeah.
Or we break a big run, 20-yard gain from our own 30. We're on their 50, but all of a sudden it's first and 30 from the 20.
Yeah. There were a couple of times, and we were talking about this before we went on, where if there's a false start, the play should be blown dead, but the play continued. I know that was a topic of conversation.
Absolutely, but I will say this, is that I've been coaching the wing team for 20 years of various offenses for a long time, and we just want to be able to go out there and get a fair shot and let the kids play. I don't want anything, I don't want you to give me anything, but don't take from us.
Yeah. A game like this, in which these kids know each other from Warren Central, obviously Vicksburg, these rivalry games, I mean, regardless of what level, you find yourself not doing as much coaching because you know what they're about and they know what you're about, and you don't do as much coaching because the rivalries kind of take care of themselves, and the energy, the focus. How's that been this week? As disappointing as Germantown was, you come right back on the same field against your crosstown rival in Warren Central.
Well, the kids have been pretty upbeat, but we're going to continue to do the things that we know that works, and we're going to continue to work on our craft, teach our techniques. We have competition Tuesday, situation Wednesday, so we just going to continue to do everything we do, and we're going to coach it just like the next game, but we know it's a big game, so we're going to teach our kids how not to hold, how not to jump outside, how not to fumble, things of that nature. So hopefully it all come into play tonight.
You're a defensive-minded coach. Coach Morgan is that. I think he calls the defensive plays. What is it about Warren Central's defense?
They're pretty solid. They're well coached. They're going to do things. They're not going to hurt themselves, So we just got to get out there, recognize their fronts, realize what they're doing in the secondary, and take advantage of the things that they give us.
Yeah, what I saw in their quarterback, Wright, big play. They had 2 or 3 big plays early in that game. Just kind of put it away. You got to be alert for the big play because I'm sure they're going to try to spray it all over the field. Right.
Well, they're going to try to take what we give them, but our thing is that we don't want to give them anything. We want to make sure we dominate the line of scrimmage and force him to throw the ball down the field, and we have some ball hawks back there, So if anytime I see the quarterback shoulder go up at a 45 degree angle, I know it's a 50-50 chance that we're going to come down with it, So just play our game. We're going to run our race. We're going to do the things that we're going to get back to Vicksburg football. We're going to get out these headlines and stop looking for the news media on Mondays and Tuesdays out there interviewing and, things of that nature. So.
But that is a byproduct of success. I mean, when things weren't going right here, you didn't have that. You didn't have the cameras here. You didn't have the newspaper here at the high school. But because you have that, the expectation is winning football. So therefore, it's kind of a byproduct of winning.
Right, but we have to get to the point where our kids understand that comes with being successful, but also that is not what makes us successful. It's about going out there and putting in the work and doing the things necessary for us to win the football game, and that's something that we have been preaching. But like I said, when it goes sideways or it doesn't go in your direction, it locks you back in. It brings a new focus.
This game, playing Warren Central, you being here a few years, what does this game mean to you? And as far as the community, you're here every day, you're at the school, and just the talk and the chatter. What is this game, these rivalry games, or is this rivalry game compared to some of the other rivalry games that you've dealt with in other places?
Well, it's real simple. Charles. I want my kids to wake up on Saturday morning with that monkey off our back. They hadn't beaten them in 10 years. I want our parents to be able to go to work on Monday with their chest stuck out because they know, we won on Friday. Now we can talk for another 365.
Yeah.
But for me, to win tonight, I'm going to wake up Saturday morning looking for another one.
Yeah. And you've talked about this, how you take these losses really, really hard. How long did it take for you to get over Germantown?
Oh, actually, I'm over it, but I'm not. I'm over it, but I'm not, because that's one that we should have won. We dropped the baby, like I told the guys. So the only way you get over it is find another win. That's the only way you can get over a loss.
And before we went on, you referred to games that you coached back in 2003, almost 20 years ago. You're reliving that game like it happened yesterday. So these games stick in your gut 20 years later.
Oh, you never forget them. You never forget key factors of games. I can go a long way back. Even to when I was playing. You never forget the lot of things that happen. A lot of things, you watch so much film and you study so much, and you go back and study those games, and you just never forget them. They're just in storage until something brings it back up, and then you're like, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah. For all the talk of what defensively, what Battle did, Caleb Bryant was just. You batted balls down at the line of scrimmage. That defensive front really got some pretty good push.
Right, DeMarcus Johnson, Caleb Bryant, Tyler Carter, Kellen Washington, those guys are hard to block. We hadn't blocked them yet in practice. We have had some good days, but when they are really at it and focused and locked in, they are extremely hard to block and extremely athletic, So for anybody that plays us, their work is cut out, for them, because those guys can really play, Offensively, you go back and watch film, our offensive line really did a tremendous job against Germantown Friday. So we were hoping for the same thing. And we really dominated the ball on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So I just can't wait till we just put it together. We have yet to put it together yet, Charles, in 3 years. This is going to the third year. I believe this year you're going to see a lot of games where we put it together.
Well, you talked about focus and locked in this week. This team, was that focused and locked in?
Anytime Caleb Bryant tells the guys we're not talking on social media, and nobody does, and all the trash talk, they're locked in.
I know fans have been talking for sure, going back to the history, 2011, the last time the Gators beat this Warren Central team. Hopefully that streak will end tonight. Coach, let's go get them.
Let's go get them.
It's the River City Classic coming up from Warren Central. Yours truly, TJ Mayfield. Glad you can join us. Kickoff coming up after this timeout.